Hello, everybody. It's so crazy that everybody is so excited about this Trump so-called impeachment. But what they're missing is there is more to this story than what people think. It's not as simple, cut and dry as people think it would be. There's more process that has to happen. And so this video I'm going to show you for those people who don't really understand how this works. There has to be a trial and the Senate has to be involved in this. And the two articles that they bring forth, Nancy Pelosi that is, those articles have to be moved forward and a trial proceeding has to take place before he's actually Donald Trump is impeached. So he's in impeachment limbo, as they say. So you're going to hear this video for those of you who have been running around and excited and boasting about him being impeached. Yes, those are the two articles. It has to do with abuse of power, and there's some other things that are going on as well, having to do with Russia or the Ukraine, and so more has to take place before people can start having their little parties and getting excited and celebrating. And I've heard people talking and saying on their videos that they're drinking and they're having their little parties because Trump's going to be impeached. Okay, so let me, without further ado, let this video go here within the video so that you can hear some of the more detailed information as to how this has to play out.
And it comes hours after reports of the president's anger about being in essentially impeachment limbo. This is what he tweeted: "I want an immediate trial!" Exclamation point. But both the House and the Senate cleared out of Capitol Hill for the holidays, so it's apparent the president is not going to get what he wants before Christmas. And that specifically is to know the House will actually be sending the two articles of impeachment to the Senate, triggering the impeachment trial. Speaker Pelosi has made it clear she has not done that yet, delaying the handoff while expressing concerns if senators will actually hold a fair trial. But Trump supporters, they are calling her out for being unfair. Here's more from Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham.
I just left President Trump. He's mad as hell that they would do this to him and now deny him his day in court. The reason they're denying his day in court is they know their case sucks.
One scholar is speaking out about Speaker Pelosi's delayed handoff. Harvard law professor Noah Feldman testified for the Democrats during the impeachment inquiry, and he says if the House doesn't send the articles over to the Senate, that means the president has not technically been impeached. Let me read for you what he wrote in Bloomberg. Quote, "If the House does not communicate its impeachment to the Senate, it hasn't actually impeached the president. If the articles are not transmitted, Trump could legitimately say that he wasn't truly impeached at all." So let's go straight to CNN legal analyst Ross Garver. He teaches impeachment law at Tulane Law School. And so, Ross, do you agree with this line of thinking that he wouldn't technically be impeached?
So this professor is very creative. He's a smart guy, very creative, but somehow the Speaker of the House and CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post and virtually everybody on the planet somehow missed this. The Constitution says that the House has the sole power to impeach. They passed articles of impeachment. The Speaker of the House said the president's impeached. I don't think this argument, while creative, really goes anywhere. Now, having said that, the Senate rules do say that the actual start of the trial is triggered by the delivery of the articles of impeachment and the appearance of the manager. So there's some argument there. But to be clear, the Senate is now fully in control of when this trial starts.
Okay, we just want to make sure so we're all on the same page. So because sources tell CNN that House Democrats, Senate Democrats are preparing for a trial as soon as the week of January 6th. But until the House actually hands over the articles, Ross, the Senate would still be at a standstill, correct?
Well, under the current rules, but remember, the U.S. Supreme Court said in very clear language in a case called Nixon versus United States, a case of a federal judge's impeachment, said that the Senate is totally in control of its trial rules. And so right now, the Senate trial rules say exactly that, say that the trial doesn't start until managers appear and the articles are delivered. But the Senate could set a deadline for those things. They could also change the rules. They could also just act and dismiss the charges. But for right now, I think Senator McConnell and the Senate Republicans are fine to have this debate go on.
Okay. If you play it forward, waiting, holding on to articles, and essentially playing this game of who blinks first, what are some potential options of how this could play out on the Senate side once the articles are then handed over?
Yeah, so once the articles are handed over, again, right now, I think Senator McConnell and the majority of the Senate are fine to have this discussion go on. Once the articles are actually handed over, then that does trigger a number of procedural steps. But the big thing that we're looking for is the adoption of the rules and procedures to say how this trial is going to go. Mm-hmm. Right now, the Senate rules are very vague on how it all happens. Will there be witnesses? How many witnesses will there be? Will there be opening arguments? How long will the opening arguments go? In Clinton, the Senate adopted a set of rules that provided for long opening arguments, and only after those arguments did the Senate then turn to the question of whether additional witness testimony was necessary. And in the Clinton case, the Senate decided that no, there was going to be no need for live witness testimony, but they did provide for the taking of 3 depositions. So there are a lot of open questions about how this trial is actually going to happen, and that's what's being negotiated now.
We'll wait and see what they decide. Ross Garver, for now, thank you very much for, of course, all of your impeachment expertise. Despite President Trump's threats, meanwhile, that the economy would tank with his impeachment, Americans say it's actually been the best it's been in 2 decades, and the numbers prove it. Look at these numbers. A new CNN poll out today shows 76% of Americans think economic conditions are good. Only 22% think they're poor. That is the highest rating, by the way, since 2001. Add to that the fact that 55% of Americans approve of President Trump's trade deal between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. That deal, USMCA is how it's referred to, just passed the House yesterday. And economic growth is ticking steadily upward. The latest GDP numbers show America's economy growing by 2.1% in the third quarter. So with me now, opinion columnist for the Washington Post and CNN political commentator, Catherine Rampell. And so this week may not have been a highlight of President Trump's in his lifetime, but when you look at those numbers, and you're also thinking, all right, the election is about to be kind of like a blink away.
Yes.
If you are Democrats, are you shaking in your boots a little bit?
This is a challenge for them, right? Americans do rate the economy very strongly. In fact, the candidates were asked about this last night. What is your message to America if the public is generally happy with where the economy stands now? Now, you could argue, as I and many others have, that presidents get too much credit when the economy is good, too much blame when the economy is bad, but the fact that I have to say that over and over again suggests it's not the most compelling argument politically. If you listen to what the candidates said, they basically argued that, look, economic growth has been pretty good, but the gains have not been equally shared. And there is poll data to suggest that that message could be a winning one amongst the American public overall.
So I'm stopping the video because they're going into other issues as to why some people are probably either they're for or against the whole proceeding of why they want to impeach or go through with a trial of impeachment. So I don't know where people were getting their information from. I know I did read articles about Trump being impeached, possibly. But I realized that it wasn't that simple. It wasn't that quick. It wasn't that fast. It wasn't that easy. That there was a process that's involved. And so I've been listening to some of the bloggers and some of the other people who are real high profile in their fancy style. And they are calling other bloggers names and saying they're illiterate. But yet they're talking about Trump's impeached and all of that because they don't read. So that just goes to show you which ones are actually the ones that don't really know what they're talking about. And so there's more to this than meets the eye. So, whenever something sounds too good to be true, it probably more than likely is. So we're not really going to know if this is finalized from the looks of it until they have this trial proceeding and they bring forth the 2 articles of impeachment. So with that being said, or having said that, I'm sorry to burst the bubbles of some of these people who thought they knew what they thought they knew. Well, you have to really pay attention, and you have to read, and you have to really be observant and wait to see. I'm one of these kind of people. I have to wait and see. I have to see it to believe it. I have to know. I have to read. I have to know, yes, that is true. Yes, that is absolutely happening right now. Okay, they're in the process, but he is not officially impeached. Having said that, thanks for listening.